speaking of high school, what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome to become the player you are today?
Um, I want to say eliminating distractions on a spiritual level. Not just a physical level, but a spiritual level. Obviously, a physical level, you got girls, you got all that stuff coming in, going into high school. So it's like, you got to push all that to the side and then say, I need to focus on what I need to focus on so I can be great. Right. And then, like I said, I have a lot of people in my corner to tell me what's right and what's wrong. Obviously, like I said, I know what it is regardless. But, it's good to have those people, like my family, my grandpa, my grandma, my mom, my uncles, and, to just be there for me and, help me out. My dad, to be there to tell me, like move this stuff out the way and focus on what you need to focus on, so you can get to the highest level. And when you're finally there, and you do everything you need to do in life, that's when you can finally enjoy yourself and live your life out. But right now, it's all I'm just focused on my game and just getting better. That was the biggest thing for me because, like I said, like I said before, I was a big gamer, so finally putting all that down, finally getting good amounts of sleep, and then working out a lot. Finally having to learn how to do rehab. I still slack on rehab really bad, and that's something I need to work on. I'll get a little small, whatever, and I'll neglect it until it becomes something that's more serious. Luckily, that hasn't happened yet. But that's why I pray it doesn't happen because I'll be slacking like I said, when it comes to things like that. But yeah, that's just the biggest thing. Just getting things that I used to be very focused on out the way, so I could focus on the bigger picture.
Okay. I like that. I like that, man. I like the fact that
So
you had the mentality that your family pretty much told a focus later
mhm.
on. Then you can start to enjoy yourself but still focus because especially how what I've seen now in the college football
Yeah,
NIL deals are very. When I was younger, there was no NIL deals.
yeah,
You know what it is. It was nothing, and everyone was into football.
yeah.
Now, NIL deals are very big. A lot of the athletes don't have that mindset how you have. That is very drilled into football. Can be a little fun, but be serious. If you want to be pro, if you want to do this, you gotta be serious. Later on, then enjoy it. But just by how they're doing that and just give you that mindset and focus is amazing. And that's
Well,
what
thank you.
well, no problem, bro, no
So,
problem. That's what a lot of athletes should definitely take upon from this. So now, was there a specific game or moment where you realized I can play at the college level? Like, was there any game like the last year or the year before where you're like, oh, yeah, I definitely got this, bro. Yeah.
that's a really good question. For sure, there's definitely like plays that I made where I'm like, how did I do that? Where it's like, like I'm like, yeah, I'm like the biggest thing. One of the coolest things about making plays at this level, at the even the high school level that I play at, I go against great competition. The biggest thing for me is like, after I make a really really good play, and then I'm thinking like when I get home and I watch this, and I'm like I posted something or whatever, I'm like the coach is gonna go crazy. That was one of the best feelings for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a specific moment. I know there was one play that I think a lot of people love. It was whenever I kind of hawked this kid down. It was against Pato. It was after a kick. They blocked the kick and then they took it and they were running. They were running. They were running. And then everybody was behind. And then me and my weight and my size, I went and hawked them all the way 50 yards, and it resulted in a stop. So I think that's something that people like really. It was the first play in my highlight, and I feel like that's something that people definitely saw. I barely even thought of anything in the moment because I was just so focused on getting the kid. But I think that's one thing that made a lot of people think, okay, yeah, this was later in the game too, so I was kind of tired, and it was a down to the wire game as well. So yeah, without a doubt, I think moments like that. I think it was a collection of moments rather than just one. I want to say, just there's a few plays, most of them on the highlight reel, where I was like, okay, I made this play, and I'm like, when I go back and I watch it, I'm like, okay, if I can do this and I can translate this, if I can grow my strength and I can grow my size and I can do this to kids at the next level, I'm like, I'm going to be an NFL kid, because I already know I can play college ball. Just coming in, coaches, everybody's seen it. I've heard it from everyone, growing up. So, like I said, as long as God willing, I stay healthy, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to play ball. But it just depends on the level that I play it at, and if I'm going to excel at the college level coming out of high school. That's one thing that I was kind of worried about. One thing I don't like about myself, or I didn't like about myself, I fixed it. I feel like for the most part, was I used to get complacent. I was like, I'm Zeke, right? I can go out here and I can have not a mediocre game, but I can go out here and I can't play. I could play to the level of these kids, right? And I'll still get by, and it'll still be a great game. But then I realized I'm like, nah, because I'm over here. One of the things that's most humbling is watching, players like Myles Garrett, their high school tape, and things like that, and watching it's like he's making a play every 2 seconds. Like every play that he plays is a sack, TFL, fumble recovery for a touchdown, which I've still yet to get. I need one of those, hopefully this year. But things like that, just plays like that, and the athleticism that these kids have, which I'm gifted with, and they actually use and implement on the field. I feel like it's something that you know I got to take pride in, and I got to be like, I've been blessed with all of this, and I need to actually utilize the materials that I was given to go be great.
Okay, I like that, man. Now, part of your game though, what have you worked the hardest to improve? Since as not everyone is the greatest when they're playing football. Sometimes you have to tweak a little bit of some certain in your game to get it much better. What is part of the game that you improved greatly from before to now?
I feel like one of the things that I pride myself in is having a great, aggression in the way I play, and I really just let my game talk for itself. I don't say too much myself, but like I think I have a good knockback and things like that. And I like to sharpen tools that I already have installed. So things like that that I feel like coaches, that's a lost art. And I've said it before. I think that kids, they're all about the pass rush, which don't be fooled. I love pass rush. Especially, you'll see that camps and stuff mostly for me though, because I can actually come off the edge and stuff, and I have room to move. While in high school, I'm getting two dudes on me, off rip, off snap. I don't really got a chance to do none of that flashy stuff. But the knockback and the quick hands and the aggressive punch that I have in my game, just and being just also the speed at my size, I feel like it's something that I'm good at, but I've also worked on to enhance for next year because I feel like you can sharpen tools you already have sharpened. Then it'll make you a great player, right? And that's not saying just neglect the things that you haven't already been good at, that you haven't been good at. I'm still working on those. Obviously, like I said, things that I haven't been able to do too much, like pass rush, I work that every day. Even though I probably won't be seeing too much crazy, wide split stance type like situations. I'm still working on it just in case that does come through. I still don't know what I'm gonna end up doing in college in terms of where I'm gonna be. I'm definitely most likely be a three tech, but I don't know what they want to do with me down there in Miami yet. They kind of like they have an idea. We have an idea. The coaches know what they want to do with me, but I'm not sure where I'm actually truly end up. If that makes sense, the coaches know where they want me. The coaches know what they want to do with me, but I myself, I haven't, until I get there, I'm not going to really see. So I'm working on everything I can so I can finally be ready whenever I do get there and I don't have to worry about anything in terms of, missing any tools or anything like that.
Now, how would your teammates describe you as a leader on the football team, either offense or defensive side of the ball, depending on if one position or the other views you differently?
Right. I wish I had one of my teammates in here to say himself because I feel like there's no better person to tell you about me than,
I mean,
the
like, how would they view you? Like, from you looking at them, and they're like, do they ask you questions about your game? Do they view you as, hey, you give me good advice on outside of football? Just like a human perspective. It
yeah.
didn't have to be a football player, but more like human interaction. It could be off the field too.
My teammates definitely come to me for a lot of things, from, just, I feel like I'm a really approachable person. As much as it may not seem in real life, as big as I am, but, everybody who truly knows Zeke, they know, like, he's there for you. I'm real. I don't switch up on people, man. Like, from the beginning, like, the people that I'm still talking to people that I've been talking to since sixth grade, right? I haven't changed at all. Obviously I've grown up a bit, but that don't mean nothing in terms of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I like to think that I'm an approachable person, like I said before. I think that anybody can come to me about anything, and people come to me about a lot of different things. From family disputes, things like that. They come to me about God. Just talking to religion, things like that.
Mm.
They ask me about obviously the football aspect. Everybody talks to me about that often. They ask me how like about recruitment. They ask me about how to talk to coaches. They ask me about how to do this on the D line, how to do this on the how do I do this on this drill, things like that. So obviously those things people gonna come for me for. But it's really nice, like you said, to actually have people come to me for other things that aren't regarding football and just ask me, like how just to go about different things in life itself. And I think they see me as I think a lot of people see me as a leader. That's what I've tried to kind of build for myself. I've been working really, really hard in high school, just overall, just to kind of become that person. And I'm glad that it's showing off for me.
Uh-huh. I like that, man. I like that a lot. How does uh how does your weekly training routine look like during the off season, even during the football season? I know in certain high schools they train differently than others. Like when I was in high school, I played like 1 year of high school football, and we train in the morning, but then sometimes we train in the afternoon. But sometimes we just train in the morning, and then we didn't train in the afternoon. We just did drills. How is your routine from off season to in season? You don't have to tell me every single day, but like a short go around of how you guys did it there in high school.
All right, so coming into the season, we already have a whole summer training program. What we're doing right now, I'll just tell you about that first because it's 'cause you can't really know about everything, so you know about this. But the
Hmm.
summer training program we have, it's an early morning program. It starts at 7. I'm pretty sure it ends at around I want to say 11:30 to 12. So we have a strength training part of the program. We're in the weight room, we're lifting, things like that. And then we have the second part of the strength training program, which is kind of like the agility portion. And that's when we work on, speed and conditioning and things like that. And then after that, it's all over. So this is around, I want to say like 10 probably, or 10, 15, I want to say. I don't keep up with the time. I just play. But I want to say like 10, 15 because that's what it feels like. This is when we start like the football actual part. And this is when we start, working on plays that we're going to work on during the season. Working on drills, footwork, pass rush, all that stuff for D-line. It's just everybody on the field working on what they're working on for their position. The defense will come together at the end, and the offense will come together at the end. And then they'll do a group portion. Then we'll go home. But that's that. That's for the summer program. That's every single day, 4 days out of the week. But basically every single day for the summer. Like I said, besides the weekends and Friday. So that's what we do summer. We're actually on break right now for the 4th of July and things like that. So, we'll hit that back when we get back. But, then, coming in about a week before the school season starts, we start to actually work on real football things, and that's whenever it's like basically straight football. And then, finally school starts and we already have everything prepared and we're going straight into it, right? So, then we get in there. Football starts. We have early morning practice at 5 in the morning.
Oh,
I want to
man,
say,
that.
yeah, 5 in the morning. It's real early, real early. 5 in the morning, you gotta have everything. I come with my clothes for the day, obviously, because you literally as soon as practice is over, we're going in, and then we're starting school. So we have practice at 5 in the morning up until school starts at 6:45. Then at six, then at I want to say 12, so around 12, around 11, going to like 2:12. We have the period, which is also football practice. We're going out with pads again. And then we have the after school portion, which usually will be lifting and meetings. But sometimes, depending on the weather, we might even go outside a third time. It's pretty crazy down here for sure. But, we try to get everything done early so the heat isn't being out on everybody because it gets hot down here, obviously. But yeah, it's a lot, and that's the whole season basically. You get Thursday off before games, and even then, we still have our after school portion. Thursday, yeah, Thursday we'll do like I'm trying to remember what we do on Thursdays. I don't know if we go out during the period. But we don't have morning practice on Thursdays. But yeah, we'll come after school and we'll do a little walkthrough
Hmm.
before the game. You know, Friday is obviously game day, and then we'll do that the whole season, bye weeks included, and then comes spring ball after winter break. And spring ball is period only, but it's the hardest period you're gonna have in your life, right? You know, I've started to get used to it being more of a veteran for the team, but back when I first started, it was definitely difficult. But still, you know, I still had to take that leadership role, just being who I am. So, you know, I got adjusted to it real quick. So, you know, we got our mat drills. We're out there. We're rolling on the mat, doing different drills on the mat. Really fast pace. You mess up, you got to do it again. You know, if you mess up, your teammates try to pick you up. You know, it's a lot of mental challenges that come during boot camp.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, I'm glad we're doing all this early because you know even some college coaches I talked to before finally committing, you know, they was even like, no, we don't even do all this, and they're like, this is crazy. But I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna be prepared. You know, I'm gonna be elevated against everybody else, and that's I'm very glad that's the case. You know, that I'm ready for whatever I'm gonna get hit with. Hopefully, then you know we have the jump ropes after that. And you know that's you'll get your shin splints from the jump ropes, man. You know, just a whole lot of jumping. Um, One of them very mental again. You know, you get tired quickly. If you don't even get locked in right, you got to restart. Everybody doing push-ups, man. It's a lot, right? So that's that. You know, and then finally we have the weight room portion, um, which is you know we'll all line up. You know, whistle. You got to do the workout. You're supposed to know the workout on top of your head after the first like week. You got to know the workout on top of your head, and then you got to do the workout. If you do the wrong workout, double
Hmm.
whistle. You got to do squat jumps, man. So you got to do that, and the goal is to get through all the workouts and do them perfectly for every group. Basically, that's the goal. And you know, we've actually done it twice now. You know, 3 times for the kids because I had basketball and so I got to skip it my freshman year, but sophomore and juniors, you know, sophomore and junior year, you know, we've done it twice at this point. So I'm glad, you know, we finished the workouts perfectly, and you know, it's just what it's all about. And it's a lot of team bonding that goes on during this point because you know you got to, or else everybody's going to fall behind. So yeah, I'm very glad we live in this you know, kind of like this training arrangement we got going on.
That's it, man. And
Yes,
wow,
sir.
they got you. I mean, that's the thing about some of these schools out here that they don't realize that Texas is a football state.
No joke, bro. It's no
Yeah,
joke.
here in I'm from New York, so like, we're mainly for basketball. As you know, the Knicks won the championship, but um,
Oh yeah,
I was
yeah.
hyped. I went to the parade. I went to the parade. It was hype. It was lit. It
That's
was lit.
awesome, man. You know it's crazy down there.
Yeah, it was, but that's the thing. Like a lot of these schools, you go to them and they're like, I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
but a lot of high schools don't do how your school does it, or a lot of colleges don't. It really depends on who is the athletic trainer, who is the coach. They do it very different ways. Old school, like back in the day, like honestly, like early 2000s, they would have definitely done how you would be doing it.
right.
Maybe, but
Yeah, yeah,
as time goes on, a lot of these coaches, maybe they get injured too much. Maybe it's this,
yeah.
but does it differently, and it's not bad or it's
Yeah,
not
there's
good.
benefits and losses to it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously a lot of kids may not be as tough, but at the same time, you know, kids were definitely getting hurt back then. Nobody really loved the sport past a certain age because they felt like it was just doing numbers on their body. But you know, it's good and bad. You know, like I said, it's it's definitely good that I feel like the athleticism is getting better over time. So I mean, like that might be something. I don't know if that's related to the actual workouts. You know, everybody's doing, but it's definitely a statistic.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it all depends on who does it, how well
Right.
the body, and a lot of stuff plays into it. But stuff changes. I mean, you see the NBA. The NBA have all these athletes back then didn't get injured doing specific training. He's like, if you see Chad Ochocinco, he ate McDonald's like every single day, and he
Right.
never got injured. So like, it just depends on what you eat, your body, how you work out. Like, I'm a personal trainer. I used to be a personal trainer, so like I've
Okay.
dealt with athletes, so I've seen you know how they are depending on the family tree, depending on all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, man. I mean, knowing the fact that they're preparing you for the next level, and the fact that a lot of these colleges see the fact that you are handling it really well, It's very impressive, and hey, here we are.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
before we get into the whole recruiting process, let's talk about as well as in high school. Uh, you're really big on faith, and as well as your siblings. Tell us about both of those of how it contribute with football, and how it helped you, and yeah.
So, being a Christian, raised in a Christian household, I think my faith in God has definitely been one of the biggest things that's got me through a lot of different things. A lot of people don't realize, but what I believe in, I think that, or I know that, in my cause, I know that it's definitely it all correlates. Even just the mindset that you have being in this piece, it helps with everything. He's blessed me and given me so much that didn't even ask for, and it's helped me get through so much that I wouldn't have been able to get through without him. So I feel like that faith is football for me. Without a doubt, I fall short. We all make mistakes all the time. So that's definitely something that I work on. But I'm just thankful to him for everything that I got. Since birth and even before then. So that's definitely that. And then going my siblings and things like that. They've been my biggest support system for real. The kids, I love them without a doubt. I pray to God. I hope they end up being good at sports too. One of them is crazy. He's super aggressive, so he better be something on the field when he finally do get to this point. Now he got so much pent up anger, so I hope that that's something that he uses on the field. But like I said, I love all my siblings, man. I got siblings on my dad's side as well. I got an older sister, and I got a little brother and another little sister. So I love them as well.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that a lot.
So,
That's the thing. I feel like having your family and your religious value does help you tremendously, no matter if it's sports or any job, because it does help you push through not only the bad times but the good times as well.
yes, sir.
Um, yeah, man. I mean, I love the fact that you honestly are. I'm very impressed, bro. I'm
Yes, sir.
very,
Thank
very
you.
how you are the person. I mean, it's just
Yes, sir.
it's just a blessing, honestly, to meet someone like you and
Thank
having a
you.
place to talk to. No problem.